welcome,
I'm so
Marisa
happy to
Imon.
see you. Thank you.
Isn't this fun to do it visual as well as, be able to listen to this
Yes,
on
it's a
this
treat.
forum? I feel like it's a treat too. So
I love anytime I get to see you.
thank you. Thank you so much. And thank you for honoring me with your beautiful presence to be a part of my new podcast, Free to Be Yourself.
Oh, I'm so excited for it.
Yes. And so you and I met during my podcast course that I took with Laura Powers, and you were one of the guest speakers, one of the guest hosts. And so just as we get started here, like I said, I'm really honored to have you. I thank you so much for sending me your bio, and oh my gosh, so give me a minute and let me take a deep breath and let me share about you from my end. And then of course I want to hand it over to you and you share, but you are an international best-selling author, which I love it. I love it, of a book called Super Intense. And that is your journey with bipolar type 1 and how you have really embraced and how you have adapted that whole energy, that stigma, that label, all of that through meditation and through your spiritual awakening. And so I'm super excited. We're going to have conversation around that, but it doesn't stop there. You're also an award-winning composer, very much an artist, musician, entrepreneur. You have beautiful, and I've tapped into them, some of your meditations. You are the host of the Unconventional Meditation Podcast called Incandescent, which I'm excited to follow. And then I just saw this, you are the voice for the national ad campaign of Oily vitamins, which those are those
Olly.
Olly.
Yeah, Olly. Yeah, I'm not the voice. My music was used in an ad campaign.
Your music. So I might have, in Olly vitamins. Oh my goodness. That's amazing.
Yeah, it was really exciting. I couldn't believe it when I saw Rebel Wilson acting with my music in the background to her acting. I was like, am I awake? Is this real?
Yes, it is real. And I have seen those vitamins in
I love those vitamins.
They're like in Target, Walgreens, because I love their packaging. There's something about their cool packaging they have. So, well, there's a nice little plug for them. as I get the spelling wrong, but so welcome, my dear. Welcome to Free to Be Yourself. And what a free, beautiful soul you are. From the moment I met you, I had such a connection with your soul, your vibration, your smile. And so I just want to say thank you and welcome. And so as I shared those little highlights about you, please tell all of my listeners a little bit about yourself and your journey.
Yeah, well, even saying the phrase "I'm a musician" was something that was really scary and hard for me to do. For a lot of my life, I was pretty much born singing and songwriting. I wrote music from as early as I can remember. Like when I started writing, I was writing songs, and it was part of my therapy. But I was also super intense, like the title of my book, and lived with a lot of emotional intensity that totally ran the show in my younger years. I thought I was at the mercy of it. I thought that I had no choice in the matter. I was just always going to be at the mercy of not knowing how I was going to wake up. Would I wake up feeling exuberant, or would I wake up feeling suicidal? It could be anywhere in between, and I never knew. And so I had this great discomfort around calling myself a musician. So I didn't pursue the thing I'm most passionate about. I went to college, and I had a pretty wild experience, maybe we can dive into later, that almost was the catalyst for a spiritual awakening, but I missed it completely. But shortly after that is when I started to experience mania, and it kind of put together that, oh, all my life I had been undiagnosed with bipolar disorder. It had been diagnosed with depression, anxiety, ADD, insomnia, bulimia, all sorts of fun little labels that I was given.
Mm-hmm.
And I still like move forward in life thinking, all right, well, I just gotta, take these meds. Not that I'm anti-meds or anything, but I was
Yes.
like over medicated. And I thought I felt like I was an old lady. I'd walk around with like this, this whole thing. It's supposed to be for like a whole week, but for me, it was
Yeah.
one day's worth of pills. And,
Oh my goodness.
and, I was doing the things I thought I was supposed to do to take care of myself, but all of those things didn't take care of my soul. They
Mm-hmm.
were, the get a job, do the work, be of service in the world. I was a nonprofit youth worker. I really enjoyed that work, but it was like I thought I had to give of myself, run away from my emotions because they were bad, run away from my desire
Mm-hmm.
to be a musician because that's foolish, and just like fit into some box that someone made for me that isn't my own. And
Wow.
eventually that led to um, recognition that there's got to be a better way. At that point, I was overworked in an unhealthy relationship, in an unhealthy working environment, and struggling physically with my body. It was getting sick because I wasn't honoring my emotions. I wasn't doing the things that my body needed me to do. I wasn't nourishing my soul. I wasn't playing music.
Yes.
And so my mom gave me Marianne Williamson's book, The Divine Law of Compensation.
Yes.
And at that point, I was an atheist, agnostic at best. And I thought, you know what, at this point in my life, choosing to believe in nothing hasn't served me. So why
Mm-hmm.
don't I choose to believe in something? Because either way, it's a choice, either way, we don't know. So,
That's so true. Yes.
so I was like, all right, I'm just going to give this a whirl. And I started daily meditation, and I started to connect with some part of me that I didn't know was there. And I left the unhealthy relationship, eventually left the unhealthy job about a year after that.
Mm-hmm.
Not that the job was unhealthy. I let myself be in a situation that created that. I was kind of a magnet for it because up until that point in my life, I hated who I was and I didn't think I was free to do anything. Um,
Yeah.
but through daily meditation, which by the way, I didn't think I could sit still and do. So I'd go take walks and I would meditate while in nature, while moving, and learn how to connect with something deeper within me. And after that is when all the other transitions happened, and I haven't needed medications for bipolar. And I believe over 5 years at this point. Um, and again, not that I was anti medications, but I just had this feeling like, is there something else for me? And if I need them again, I'm not, that's okay too. It's just that I was told there's only one way to live. You grow
Yes.
up, you go to
Yep.
college, you get your job. Like I was privileged enough that was part of the path. You grow up, you go to
Mm-hmm.
college, you get the job, and then you stay in the job until you retire. And then someday you do the things you want to do once you're retired. And in the meantime, make sure you're medicated because with bipolar type 1, you could go crazy at any minute. And it was so much pressure. Uh, and for a long time, up until very recently, I was scared I'd let my whole family down by making the choices I made because society tells me they're not stable choices. But meanwhile, I've never felt more free. I've never felt more me. I didn't mean for that
Mm-hmm.
to rhyme.
I love that it did. I
And
love
it's
it.
perfect for our topic of free to
Yes,
be.
it is. Yes, it is. Oh, and didn't I remember hearing you say when you were sharing with us at the group for our podcast group, how you wouldn't smile when you were young. Didn't you like try to hide your smile even? Like
Actually,
you would
I
hold
hid
back?
behind the smile
You hid behind your smile. Okay, because I'm like,
because
your smile is so contagious. It's so gorgeous. And so that's what it was. So you were just
but there's a whole
that.
story behind that actually if you'd like.
Yes, was that was one of your masks, right?
One of my
You put
masks,
on.
but to get to that. So it's so funny because little Marisa, like little all of us, was
Mm-hmm.
more connected to love and self-worth and all those things before, external circumstances. And being a very sensitive child meant every external circumstance hurt me. If I accidentally
Yes.
stepped on an ant, I would be sobbing for the rest of the day. Like, I killed an ant.
Yes.
Like, I'm a murderer. Like, I felt so much all the time about even tiny, tiny things. And so that piled on. But before I was totally feeling no self-worth, I still had some confidence, enough that around
Mm-hmm.
age 10, when I went to the orthodontist for the first time, he said to me, because I had too many teeth, if you can imagine this mouth having more teeth, it did.
It did. Yes.
And they had to be removed. I had more than what you're supposed to as an adult, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
And he said to me, well, don't you want your smile to be perfect? And I remember saying to him, who are you to tell me it's not already perfect? Like, it was this big moment in my life where I had never really stood up to an authority like that before.
Yes.
And I was just this little kid looking at this grown man saying, how dare you tell me that I am not already beautiful? And I have never really thought until this moment, actually, about how profound that is.
That's
Because
very profound.
shortly after that,
Yes.
I was like, I'm ugly, I'm unattractive, I'm the worst, I should binge and
Mm-hmm.
purge, I have to control my weight, I have to control my looks. But the fact that I was able to say that around age 10 to a grown man, um, I, I'm like, go Marissa, go little Marissa. I forgot that she did that. But so I did go through like the surgery, I also had like a tumor in my mouth. So like I had this stuff happen in my mouth, and then I had metal in it for years and years.
Mm-hmm.
And when it came off, it was probably early teenage years. And it was so convenient because it's so big. And my heart
Yes.
was so broken all the time. I I was able on some days to love the world,
Mm-hmm.
but very rarely able to love myself or find anything even to remotely appreciate about myself. And so while I'm walking through the halls of school, my thoughts are, how am I going to end my life? Like that was the ongoing dialogue in my head. But meanwhile,
Yeah.
I was voted friendliest for my senior superlative. Like, everyone who saw me saw this giant smile, saw this happy human. And I I thought that it was bad that I felt bad. And I thought I had to run away from it. I thought I had to hide. I thought that if I faced those fears, I'd feel worse facing them
Mm-hmm.
than running away from them, which, as we know, is the exact opposite. But I just didn't know that.
Yes, I know. Wow. Well, thank you for sharing that. That is so beautiful. And my goodness, I'm visualizing you like in high school and carrying just all of your emotions and just how heavy that was for you to not know when you could trust yourself, because being bipolar, from what I've learned and what I know, I feel like I have had episodes of mania. I've had my own road with being on antidepressants, being on the wrong antidepressants, being on one that I vividly remember. It amped me up and I was in like a mania. And I did not want to
Mm,
admit it because I felt like a
felt good.
superhuman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yes.
After my first manic episode, which I've only had one diagnosed, and then there was this
Mm-hmm.
period where I was experimenting with going off of meds before having any kind of plan in place. This was well before my spiritual journey. This was
Yes.
just like being foolish. um, and there was a period there where I think I was, but I went back on meds, and it
Yes.
went back without me having to get hospitalized or have anything happen. But the first one, I felt so amazing. I like learned how to
Mm-hmm.
code and create a website in 1 week. And this was back,
Yeah.
2005. Like, this was way before you could just like hop on Weebly or
Mm-hmm.
Wix and like Squarespace. Like, that was not a thing. I feel like I could do anything. And so for a long time, I didn't want to be medicated because I didn't want to be taken away from that super human version of me, which actually was one of my
Yes.
quote unquote delusions, was that I was either a superhero here to save the world,
Mm-hmm.
or on any given moment, because I also was experiencing rapid cycling, an evil villain sent to destroy the superhero version of me. It was quite dramatic. I was like in my own play and no one even knew.
Oh my gosh. Yes. The two sides of the self. That's the shadow self, the lower part, the part that we hide, the part that we demonize, the part of us that says, you're not accepted here in this place, at this table, in this room. So you have to we worked so hard energetically to numb that out. I know for me personally, my shadow self, I mean, she's full of her own stories around guilt and shame and punishment. And I love that you so freely speak about your eating disorder. And that's what you and I connected with instantly too, is
Mhm.
being bulimic. And even that word, the word bulimia, bulimic, like it's it's such a word. It's such a heavy vibration. But yet there's so much in that. There's so much to an eating disorder. There's so much carrying that label, being afraid that if someone very close, for me personally, I will speak, like I can say husbands now, because I have two ex-husbands, or any partner that I've had to share that bit of information with them about me, felt very, I felt the most exposed and the most, almost the most shame around that one, for sure. Like I am like the lowest of the low to be doing this act in secrecy. And it's something that I'll never forget. I was 12 years old. It was my sister's best friend who showed me one day. She was over. She's like, "You want to stay skinny?" She's like, "This is what you do. You throw up after all your meals." And I grew up in Southern California, and beauty, looks, all of that. I mean, anywhere we are, it doesn't matter where we grow up. I think as a young woman, we know we are taught, right, by society, like,
Especially when we were younger, and now there's more and more women of various sizes on television. But if you go
yes,
back and watch old shows, like the women
oh,
were stick thin most of the time, so we didn't get to see what other women looked like, or even models for underwear commercials and stuff like that. Like now you see like NYX and Parade, they show women of all sizes because all women are beautiful. But
yes.
when we were growing up, we only saw one version of what a beautiful woman was. So
Mhm.
it really messes with you.
Oh my gosh, we could go on and on. We think about Barbies. I had such an
Yeah,
obsession with my
yeah.
Barbies, and something about the waist and stomach for me was always my obsession with my body. Like I wanted my stomach to be flat. I wanted it to have a certain shape to it, or lack of, just lack of any kind of bloating or anything like that. And how I
Mm.
would compare myself in bathing suits. And, um, but for me, the eating disorder was one of my earliest coping mechanisms, that I learned that when I started to have an emotion that was heavy and it brought fear up, and it really was a lot of lack of safety, and a lot of just this undeserving feeling, like I don't matter or I'm not smart enough. That's when I would immediately go and have my binge and purge. And it's also it's a hidden romance you have. Like it is done in
Mm.
secret. Like
Mm.
you're not in
Yeah.
public, like going through the
Mm-hmm.
Krispy Kreme and getting like, I'll have 2 dozen myself and then the rest of my friends. I mean, this is a total, like, you are on your own. And
Yeah,
you know
yeah. Like when you go to the grocery store to buy a birthday cake, you just hope everyone thinks it's for
it's a
someone's birthday.
birthday. Yeah. Isn't that the truth? And what I want people to hear out there, who maybe are right now, like, first of all, the first time they're even hearing that, it's a conversation that can be had, that you are not damaged.
No,
it
not at
is
all.
not it is not something that
There's
you
nothing wrong
have
with you.
to. No, there's nothing wrong with you. Actually, it is your body's way of fully expressing that it's out of alignment, it's uncomfortable, it can't deal with these emotions. And it's kind of like a flight or flight mechanism. We get a lot of amazing kicks from the binge and the purge, right?
Oh yeah.
Like
Oh yeah.
the
Yeah.
serotonin, I think oxytocin happens, and
Oh, I don't know. But that
that
makes sense.
it does. And then there's in the release of it, when you're purging, it's control. The bottom line, what I've learned, and I've gone through support groups about this in my early teens and then 20s, is when we can't control outward,
Mm-hmm.
whether it's something in our family, even if it's using our voice, even if we can't say something we truly mean to say, we will stuff that down. And think about how it is very symbolic. Like we use food to go through the channels of the throat chakra. The throat chakra is meant to be open and vibrant and speaking truth, but instead what we're doing is we're polluting it, shoving it down, packing it in. But then there's an uncomfortability, so you want to control the situation, and you're like, okay, I got to control my physical outer appearance, because if I gain weight, that equals I will not be loved.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then when that happens, then the self-hatred comes. Then the complete, you drop out, you have physical ramifications from it. I mean, I'd be sick for days, like low energy, your metabolic rate's off, like everything, you're out of sync. So
I know I was doing it up to like 7, 8, sometimes 9 times a day. Like it was like an addiction, and it was really to run away from my emotions, like you were
mhm,
saying. And
yeah.
what's funny is that I had a lot of bad therapists growing up. I didn't get my first one
Yes.
until I admitted to my parents about bulimia. I'm pretty sure is when I got
Mhm.
my first one. And their advice was like so not helpful. They said something like, "Do you feel dirty sexually or something?" And I was like, "Dude, like I'm a kid. I don't know what you're talking about."
Yeah.
Like I but meanwhile, my one of
Yeah.
my best friends who was just another kid was like, "You know what it seems like? It seems to me, of course, a very smart kid. It seems to me like you're just trying to run away from your emotions and trying to control something in your life because you've never been able to control how you feel." I was like, wow, you're free. And you have had no training, and
Yeah.
you hit that on
Yes.
the head. But and after that, I at least had the wherewithal. I kept that in mind every time. And I think that really helped me eventually down the line with the transition, even though the transition out of it, I probably started around age 15-ish and then ended around age 25. It was about a decade.
Mm.
Um, and and then in college, even it became like a social thing.
Uh, it does, because you find others. You find
Yep,
others who are part of this secret
secret club.
society. It's a
Hmm.
secret club. It's like a sorority, and
And I'm
and
embarrassed. I inducted members. And I'm so embarrassed about it now. But it felt like, oh, you don't feel worthy. Oh, you can't control what's going on. Hey, I've got a
yes,
great thing we can do.
yes,
And
I know.
meanwhile, no one ever said to me, hey, have you ever thought about like connecting to who you really
Yeah,
are? You know,
yes,
when you connect to that, you don't have to run away from anything. Like that was never on the table.
no, and then think about it. I was a preschool teacher many moons ago,
Oh my gosh,
and
so was I.
were you in the? I know, aren't they
just
great?
just substitute, but yes.
Oh, little people, I just love them. But just thinking about what is so important in these young pivotal moments of our development, like they say by
Right.
age 7 we are fully like in ourself, like we have developed. And then after 7 is when we start mimicking and looking outward. We know we're like a self at by age 7.
Mm.
And think about how powerful it would be. And I'm sure there's many places like all these Montessori schools who are really working with young children to teach them, like, it's when you get these like heavy emotions or you feel afraid, like what to do and not to shut them out. And it's so important. And
It's happening, and more of people like us waking up and recognizing this are helping nurture these young lives and helping
yes.
them come in with more of an understanding that they're valuable and worthy just because they exist.
Mm-hmm.
and that feeling sad is not a bad thing. I volunteered at a youth group recently, and I remember when I said that to these girls, one of them said, "Really? It's not
Yes.
bad to feel sad?"
Mm-mm.
And it's the simplest thing you could possibly say. But the fact that it's so profound, even at age, I think maybe 10 years old,
Mm-hmm.
the person who said that, it's like the fact that it's that profound, that early on in life means we're not sharing it enough, but it is happening more and more. And I truly feel that we're just a few. I love thinking about generations down the road. My
Yes.
degree in college was community development, and a lot of it is futurism. It's thinking like where are our communities going to go 10 generations down the line? And when you see more and more people connecting to the love that's within them and recognizing that that was inherent from birth,
Mm-hmm.
these people are now helping make sure that children don't forget that. They don't have to go through the forgetting process that the world
That
unnecessarily created.
puts on them. Yes. Yes. Because you think about it, we all come as this divine being of light at our soul's essence. We are pure love and light. And as we mature and we grow, we take on like layers upon layers. You never see a little baby who is guilty for crying, right? You don't see a
Exactly.
little tiny toddler who's like, oh, I feel so bad. I shouldn't be so vocal or shouldn't be screaming right now.
And
There's
of
no
course, they're
shame and
vocal
guilt.
because they're in a world that's telling them they can't be who they are.
Yes.
But if the
Yes.
world was like, actually, you can explore your desires,
Mm-hmm.
we'll help you make sure it's safe. But but
Yes.
there's so much that children are told they can't, that they probably could.
Mm-hmm.
It's just that society thinks it's too weird or too whatever. But like, so what? That's just a made up belief. Why don't we change that?
Yes. Oh, you're helping so many people, just even with you sharing your story over and over again. Imagine like just, like a young 10-year-old girl getting to hear from you, and she maybe is having these manic episodes. Maybe she's feeling, these low thoughts, these suicidal thoughts, just knowing and just hearing your story, just how much you are connecting and reaching down and helping others. And I just thank you so much for that. And it's so beautiful.
Thank you. And I think it's important to know too that even though over time it gets better and better, I
Hmm.
still find myself all of a sudden having, and this is law of attraction, right? For so many years,
Yes,
I
yes.
had thoughts that were very, very low on the spectrum of emotions. And so that became my natural state. And so I was a
Mhm.
magnet for more things that made me feel that way. And it has been a gradual process of entering into the higher states of emotion. However, because I still feel things so intensely, I will randomly have a moment where I feel that self-loathing,
Yes.
that self-hatred again. And but now when it happens, the most beautiful thing occurs. And this is what I really want to share is that it's like I can love myself through the self-hatred. And it sounds contradictory, but it
Wow.
happens. It's like this other part of me is saying, it's like I'm my own mom, holding myself, letting myself know, you're okay, little girl. Like,
Yeah.
it's okay if you want to hate yourself. I love you anyway.
I-
And it
Yes.
doesn't last nearly as long as it did back in the day when I thought I had to try to run away from it by binging and purging or whatever it was that I did.
That is so beautiful. And in my healing work with my clients, and this is what I've been doing with myself, and I've incorporated with my Reiki healing sessions, is
Which are you're such a beautiful healer. I can feel your energy as soon
oh,
as you open your
thank
mouth.
you. I do. I'm grateful. I'm very grateful that I have listened to the call, and
Yeah, yeah.
it's yes, but thank you. So in these sessions, what I will do is we drop into, so get them in a very meditative state, and it's not a hypnosis, but it is you are in a place where you can do these deep imaginings, and this is
Mm-hmm.
the work of working with the subconscious. And I take people on these journeys, and we will actually go like to their childhood rooms, and I have visions come to me. I have their ages come to me of a specific time, and Usually it is some traumatic event that they finally get to be face to face with again. But this is the beautiful part, their highest self, like yourself. I tell them to envision themselves on your most spectacular day where you are high vibing. Maybe you just won an award for like your book, or like you just are really feeling in your essence. And you get to be the one who's offers this. Basically, it's a gift. It's, you hand a gift to your younger self, and you merge the two. And it has been, to me, the most profound work that I've done thus far. I do it with myself. I have, guides who I work with, and it is, we can actually go back and reprogram
Yeah. Yeah.
things that have happened to us in our past. We don't have to carry
100%.
that trauma with us. We can have it release and let go. We
Yeah,
don't
we're not meant to carry it.
We are not meant to carry it. We are so not meant to carry it. And it is, now, and there is times we get reactivated again, we get around
Yep.
people again, and they remind us, oh yeah, you're that girl who did that thing, or, or this happened. And that's the story. We're only going to keep you in this framework, in this story. And so it's beautiful to have this appreciation and this knowing, this inner knowing that we are all here to be the highest representation of ourselves. We all have a unique calling on our lives. One is not greater than the next, but yet each one is this individual calling. And that's my work, is helping people uncover that, helping people be kind to themselves in their seat of shame, be okay with what has happened or what they've done, knowing that forgiveness comes from within. Forgiving yourself is what is the most important medicine, and releasing that and letting that go, and stop looking outward for it. Stop
Yes, I was
going
just
to
about to
others.
say everything comes from within.
Go,
Yeah.
like stop thinking like, you have to go and, repent and lay things down and just, confess over again or say, I'm sorry. And we can't
It's
say
all
a
an
thousand
inside job.
sorries.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And what's so beautiful that you said about how you might get re-triggered again, but that doesn't mean that you're meant to live with it. I've noticed a re-triggering of feelings of unworthiness that manifested themselves early on as situations where I'd be taken advantage of, manipulated, lied to, and they were very extreme in my early
Yes.
20s, because at that point I had just built up all of this
Yeah.
self-loathing. So I was like a total sponge for that kind of thing. And once I started healing it, I would go through cycles where each time I'd be in a new situation, it'd be less and less severe. And it felt like I was playing a video game, like, oh, I'm at the new level where this person yells at me. And I'm able to recognize that it has nothing to do with me. I don't have to be taken advantage by them just because they're yelling. Do their own thing. It has nothing to do with me. And so it's like getting in these situations where I feel triggered, which it's been probably 2 years since I've been in a situation like that. And I recently gotten another, and I was like, I thought I was done with this.
Yes, I know.
But instead of beating myself up, which I did for a little bit, once I recognized I was doing that and went back to the whole, like, all right, be your own mother, love yourself, and or big sister, whatever you want to imagine, just being that version of you that nurtures you and loves you through it and lets you know, hey, babe, look how far you've come. It
Yes.
used to be a situation like this, and now you're here and you're just able to exemplify your power in the situation. You can show yourself how you don't have to be tied to anything besides what's within you. How cool is this opportunity you've been presented? So it's no longer that triggers feel like this thing I got to run away from and avoid. Now they feel like opportunities, painful sometimes, but
Yes,
still opportunities all the same.
absolutely. And triggers, I have learned, come to us because we still have healing. There's
Yeah, they're
still
just teachers. There's nothing wrong with them.
no. And, it's, and those that trigger you the most, welcome them. Not saying you have to stay in their energy or you have to stay in that relationship, but bless them and thank them for igniting that part of you that you yourself need to shine that light of love and healing on. And
Exactly.
I've
It's a
learned
reflection. Yeah, go ahead.
the reflection. No, I've had to, I'm learning that, I'm in that. And it's, yes. So tell me, so I want to ask, so I asked all my guests 3 questions. And
Fun.
yes, I thought, and it has to do with, of course, being free to be yourself. But so when in your life have you felt the most free to be Marisa?
Oh, well, there's many moments lately. um, so besides childhood, right?
Mm-hmm.
Moments lately where, and this is so funny because Jamie, I thought I had these big, grand visions of, I'm a performer, and I thought I just want to see myself on the stage. Why don't I go after that? That'd be me being free as to be me. But I recognize I feel so freely me snuggling my dog and my boyfriend
Aww.
and just like basking in that love. And I I feel like because I tap into that, you know, as often as possible, I I feel like that bleeds into every aspect of my life where, I oh, I have to make a video today. I'm helping out with this like fun sketch tease, and I did
Yes.
this like monologue in my local theater recently, and I feel like I'm able to volunteer more and spend more time out in nature. Today I was bird watching and identifying. I saw a grouse, a ruffed grouse. It was really cool.
Ooh.
And identifying bird calls and just doing things that interest me. And it's so funny because I thought free to be me was like getting acclaim, getting awards. And
Mm-hmm.
now that I'm more connected to me, I'm like, who cares about that? Because that could happen without feeling free. And I always thought that those things would make me feel free. Those things would make me feel worthy, respected, more
Mm-hmm.
whatever, polished. I don't know all the words for it, but I thought that that's what I needed. And need was the energy. And now
Yes.
that I'm like, what? Why do I care about that? If I can create every day, I have a guitar, I have a beautiful computer, I have a way to record the song I made that was on the Olly ad. It was just me, my Blue Yeti microphone, a laptop, and a MIDI keyboard. And I didn't know what I was doing. I was self taught because I didn't go to school for that. I just was like,
Yeah.
why don't I just go back to my passion and try learning? So it's like you can be free to be you anytime you do any activity that just makes you feel love.
Mm. That's so beautiful. I see it's like a charging station with your dog and
Mm.
your boyfriend. I
It
always,
is. It
it
is.
is.
Oh
I
my
see it. It's like a plug-in, and it's like you have to get, and it's like this energy starts, wrapping you up, and almost like you embody it, and it fills you up like a battery. And then you unplug, and then you go out and you create, you go do, you share your smile, share your story, your songs, all of that. So that is so beautiful. And I love talking about true freedom, freeing yourself from, things that are constricting, things that are, the labels, like we talked about at the beginning, being labeled, being bipolar, all of these things. There's no freedom in that. There's no freedom in having that over you. And, and you spoke of this. So, because this is the next question, what was holding you back from experiencing this true freedom? So was it those times in when you were adhering to those labels, or speak around that more for me?
You know what it really is, and I don't always say this because I I think not everyone's ready to hear it, but the real answer. Because
Give
I'll
it
say
to me,
things
girl.
like I wasn't sleeping, or
Yes.
I'll give like those things because those are real too. But the real answer, in my opinion and personal
Mm-hmm.
experience, was not connecting to my spiritual self.
Yes.
That's
Yes.
that's all it was. And I'll
Mm.
say it because not everyone's ready to hear that. So I'll be like, I didn't journal, I didn't meditate, I didn't sleep,
Yeah.
all these things, which are helpful, healthy things that make us better. But it was that disallowing of the spiritual aspect of who I am. And I even remember I was in AmeriCorps for a couple of years, and one of my like mentors in that gave us this worksheet, and it was a pie chart kind of thing, and it was various aspects of your life: physical health, mental health, different, I don't remember what they were anymore, but one of them was spiritual. And I said to her, how dare you give us this? We don't have to have spiritual health in order to be whole, healthy humans. I was so mad. And
Such a feisty girl. The dentist, now the teacher. Get it. I love it.
I was like, who are you to tell me how I can be happy but me?
Yeah.
But then the great irony being that
Yes.
it was finding that opened up all the other freedom.
Mm-hmm. I love that. I love it. And I believe that. I believe that because we have to have that divine connection to source. And
I knew I could say it here.
Yes, you can. You can say it here. And it's not one that is self-imposed by man. It is not something that you go and find in the pulpit or in the church pews. Mm-hmm. Like I'm saying, yes, you can find it there, but it cannot be something that is placed upon you as you must be this or do this to obtain this. It is truly when you connect from within, knowing that we are all a part of the divine. And so that is so beautiful. So yes, I'm glad. Yes, that is it. And so what was the cost that you had to make to obtain that freedom? Was it using your voice around this more? Was it
the cost was I was in a relationship that I wanted to get married to this person. I wanted to have children. I wanted, the house and the fence and all the things that I saw my friends having, because I didn't yet know what I wanted. I just saw, okay, well, this is what everyone I know does. So that seems like success. So those are the things I want. And one day I was meditating, and I had been reading Gabby Bernstein books and listening to her meditations, and that person came in and saw the book, and I said how I was like, if we're not moving forward, I wasn't playing music in this relationship. I really wasn't being mean. It's not that it's the other person's fault. I just was letting myself not be fully me, and it just wasn't healthy. And so when I identified that and expressed it and made it clear that, like, if we're not going to grow together, then I need to move on. I remember this person grabbed the book I was reading, was like, is she the one doing this to you? And like chucked the book, and it made a dent in my guitar. And every time I see that guitar, I kind of chuckle about it, because I'm like, this guitar is super special to me. I mean, I guess anytime, and I only have 2 guitars, but they're both special. But anyway, I chuckle because it's like my mark of freedom. It was like, yeah, actually that book is doing this to me, and I'm really proud and excited. And then it cost me leaving. I was the director of a youth program, and I loved it. Those children were my life. I miss them every day. And this was almost a decade ago now. I mean, 8 years, I think. And I think about those kids all the time. Now some of them are grown-ups. And I was so sad to walk away, but I knew that there was something else for me. And if I didn't walk away, that I wasn't listening to my heart and my body that was telling me it was time to make a move. And then from then on, every time I was in a position where it's time to make a move, no matter how scary it is, no matter how much I'm standing on a ledge and there is no net below me, I've had to make those decisions that people have been in my life concerned for me. Why are you making these decisions? These are not safe decisions. Is it you're bipolar? Like people will think it's that. And even I'll be like, I can't prove that it's not, but I just know when I listen to my body now, the price I pay to not listen is worse than anything I give up to listen.
Wow. So you said safe. They were worried for your safety because you are bipolar. So you were treated with these kid gloves with
Mm.
a very heavy weight over you, like because of the labeling. And it's like it took away from your essence, your beautiful, blooming Marisa, your highest self. And it kept you like in a playpen, like this is all just what's coming to me, just
Yeah,
like
yeah.
you, just how many people try to interject for you. Oh, you can't go and do that, Marisa, because XYZ, you are this, and this is what people with that label who have this is where they can play, and this is their playground. And
Mm.
it's almost like, at times I could feel that you probably really would want to bust out of that and be like,
Mhm.
nobody's telling me. And that's why you probably had these episodes with this teacher, the dentist, places you would test your authority and your voice and speaking your truth and
Yeah.
doing that. So, oh, I love that. And
I love you. We could talk forever.
I know, it's so great. And one of the things I love to do, and you know how much I love my tarot.
Oh my gosh. If whoever's listening, book a tarot reading with Jamie. It is amazing. I was full body chills for like 2 hours after. Like
oh,
it lasted.
yes. Well, thank you. And I do. I am very connected to the tarot. And so that's how I want to end our time here. I want to give you a reading, just a little
Oh, that's
mini
so
reading
generous of
here.
you.
Yes, on air. And just to think it's going to I think it's going to fit very nicely to what we were just speaking of. So I just call in my spirit guides. I call them Marissa's spirit guides, just speaking to the tarot, revealing what needs to be shown to her today. And anybody who's listening, anybody who is needing some encouragement and opening, somebody to see them, somebody to acknowledge where they're at. And I want to also just tap into the heavier energy that we talked about early on, especially with eating disorders and being bipolar and just having issues of the mind, the body, and the spirit. So sending healing to those, sending people to come to for support. So I'm also seeing now that
Mm.
there's an opening happening right now. So if you're tuning in and you're listening or you're watching, that you have felt in the dark, you have felt alone, you have felt that nobody really understands this portion of you, and it's a portion. It is not you. It is not who you are. So I'm just offering that as a blessing. That is what is coming through to you who are listening out there. And so, oh, and as we go right now with these beautiful cards that are coming to you. So I chose 3 to come out to you. And there's no accident that you got 2 swords. You got 2 swords in this reading. And so we're going to talk about this. It's the Queen of Swords reversed, and it's the 6 of Swords reversed. And
Mm.
so the Queen of Swords, you see her on her throne. And I do work with reversal, so I'm going to read the reversal to you.
Yeah.
She is very confident in her transformation. She is very confident in where she is going and also where she has come from. So much so that she leans her arm out, and on her wrist is this little dangled bracelet. And it has a butterfly to remind her of her transformation. And she sits above the clouds on her throne, and her sword is pointed straight to connect to the divine. And swords in the tarot have to do with our mind, has to do with all the mental thoughts, has to do with things that strike us. It has to do with how we have conflict in our life. And so Queen of Swords reversal for you, Marisa, and any of those listening, this is for you as well, is there is now some much needed attention in asserting yourself even more.
Mm.
So
Mm.
and it's coming through in the way of assistance. It's coming through with this 6 of Swords. So the 6 of Swords is this mother child being ferried over by this ferryman in a boat, and they're leaving the choppy waters to the smooth waters. And notice they're being barricaded and protected by all these swords in the boat, but it's reversed. So this means that there is a little bit of fear around speaking and going back to what has been a disturbance to you.
Mm.
And then we're getting one of the heavier cards. I love working with I call them heavier, darker cards. So the Tower comes to you. The Tower's coming up.
Again, that came in the other reading.
It did. That's right. So let's keep with it, Marisa. So there is something.
I'm shaking up a lot right now.
There's some external force coming your way to bring about change. And I am going to use the word catastrophic. It does not mean it's demolition. It does not mean something horrific is coming, but it is a complete shaking and breaking of a current foundation that you are in and that you will be removing from. And so just even feeling into this with the other two cards, this has to do with who's giving you your advice, and this has to do with the lane of your business. This has to do with how much are you allowing an outside information coming to you, and are you truly able to step in and use your own voice, allowing your own thoughts to come through and use them with such like being very decisive. It's almost like cutting like this loaf of bread and just cutting it off and saying, okay, I can go forward and do this. So it's nothing to have any fear around, other than knowing that you may have to ruffle some feathers. You may have to get a little iggy with somebody. You may have to you're going to be vocal. And I know you're going to be vocal because you are here to do great things. You are here to do things from your highest form of creation. That's the King of Wands. And the King of Wands comes to us. Wands has to do with your creative energy, your passion, your art, your meditations, using your voice. And see, I love that you get both sides of the Queen and the King. We got the swords here and then we got the wands, but see how you're just getting the side view of them? That means they are very much ready to get up and take action. And the reversal of this King of Wands is this little guy in the corner, and that's that little salamander. And he keeps him, the king keeps him on his throne to show everybody that he did not become this king overnight, that he used to crawl and his belly was against the earth. And when his belly was against the earth, he absorbed everything. He felt everything. This is your bipolar, Marisa. This is even that label I'm feeling coming down through to you. You are proud. You don't shun that away. You don't put it in a cage. You actually have it there to be an offering and using it to allow others to come and stand with you. It's almost like, I feel like as you're getting up from your throne and you're moving forward, with your wand, with, your torch, you're just like this movement forward. You have this whole parade behind you. And back to this Tower card, the structure, the needing to leave a structure, a foundation. Yeah, it's who you're giving your credit to. That's what it has to do with. Don't sell yourself short. Actually make sure that you are protected. Who is advertising you, who is lifting you up. So I thank you for that. I thank my guides, my spirit guides, Marisa's spirit guides, and whoever who needed to hear that. I ask that it rests with you as a form of life-giving encouragement, that you can go out and seize your passions, that you can go and release anything that is making you not feel free, so that you can truly step into your authenticity and free to be yourself. So there we have it.
So beautiful. Thank you.
You're so welcome. Did that resonate? Did something come?
Yeah. I mentioned like I just recently entered into another cycle where I was being triggered about like the feelings of being taken advantage of or something like that, like having that fear come back up. And I've kind of been in the throes of working through that for the past couple weeks. So there's not much I can talk about at this time.
That's fine. No, you don't, and you don't need to talk about it.
But it was spot on.
It always is. And it's funny because being an empath, I felt like as soon as the cards go over, I'm like, oh, and I'm like,
Yeah,
just go,
yeah.
just say,
Yep.
there's nothing for us to fear when there's change afoot. Like when we are being
Right.
pushed to change, we need to embrace that. Like that's exciting. It's exciting if you have to go back, you have to go back to where it was uncomfortable. Know that you're being assisted and helped. Know that you have the energy and you have that within you, and then you have your spirit guides and divine beings of light and angels who are protecting you. And there's a purpose. You have to go back. There's something in this going back and having to say something. And really, it's almost like I see you marking your territory, like with the sword,
Mm.
yeah.
All
So
right.
get it, girl.
Time to do it.
Do it. I know. So tell people where they can find you. I'm going to put all this in the show notes, but
Yeah.
just give a
Probably
little
the
shout out.
easiest thing is my name, Marisa, Marisa, IMON.com. I have hundreds of free meditations there, including a year-long program that's free. Every Monday you get a meditation and a challenge to help you become your own superhero.
Oh my goodness. What a gift. That is such a gift. So yes, everybody go on there, join that. If you're first time meditating, what a beautiful angel to assist you in these meditations.
It's
Your
for people who
voice.
don't think they can meditate also. I
Oh,
know.
I love it. I love that. So, well, I thank you for your time. I honor you,
Thank
my
you so
friend, my
much. I
soul
love you. Thank
sister.
you. For sure. For sure.
Yes, we will connect
Thank
soon, my
you.
dear.
Thank you for doing this for the world. It's such a blessing.
Oh, thank you. Have a beautiful day.
You too, dear love.
Bye bye.